everybody, how's it going? And welcome to Daily's 2A News. Today we're going to be talking about H.R. 6225, which is a different type of gun control. Typically, when you see some type of bill be introduced, it's usually to try and restrict your rights directly. This bill, since they're having a hard time pushing other bills through, is actually aimed at FFLs. So instead of restricting your rights directly, they're going to try and squeeze off the FFLs now so that you have a harder time accessing anything at all. Now, before we get started, if you're not a member of the FPC, please consider becoming one. They are an excellent organization that's fighting for our Second Amendment rights on a daily basis, and there's a link down in the description box. Now, I want to amend something that I said in the very beginning of this video, where I said that this is a bill that's sort of directed at FFLs. And while that's true, this bill is directed at FFLs, there are some provisions in this bill that would directly affect you, the consumer, and these are things that you need to know about because it's a pretty big deal, actually. So let's go ahead and talk about the first thing that this bill does, which is, and this is one of the things that bothers me the most about it, is reports to the ATF whenever you buy 2 or more in a 5-day period. It doesn't matter what it is, if it's serialized and you buy 2 or more in a 5-day period, that FFL then has to notify the ATF. What does the ATF do with that? I have no idea. It's perfectly legal. There's nothing wrong with it. You go in, you get a couple lowers or something like that. That then has to be reported to the ATF. So that's one of the first things that is directed towards the FFL, but again, would directly affect you. Okay, so here's another one that is directed at the FFL, but again, would also directly affect you. And that is advanced record keeping, which is written into 6225. This advanced record keeping would basically force the FFL to keep records and transactions for life, for the lifetime of that FFL. So that FFL would hang on to that basically in perpetuity. And if you made a transaction, let's say 30 years ago, and the ATF wants to come in and check out that transaction, that FFL has to have that transaction available for the ATF to search. So this is advanced record keeping, and if you ask me, it is kind of like an off-site database, right? So if you think about it, the federal government's not allowed to keep a database of you. They're not allowed to do that. Whether they already do or not is a different argument altogether. But technically, legally, they're not allowed to. So instead, what they're doing is they're having FFLs hang on to these records for the life of the FFL, which are then going to be searchable by the ATF. So consider it like off-site data storage. That's the way that I look at this. It's like off-site data storage. Yeah, it's not all kept in a central location, but if you know an area, all you have to do is go search the records, and you can go back as far as you want if this takes place, because again, they'll have to keep these records for life. Now, this bill's pretty extensive. There's a lot more to it. If you guys want to read more about it, I'll put a link to the bill down below. But a couple more notable things. One, there's going to be a lot more scrutiny on the employees. So the employees are going to have to go through these enhanced background checks, and they're going to be more frequent, and so they're going to be looking at the employees a lot harder. Another thing that they're going to be doing is allowing the ATF to do inspections more often. So there'll be more interaction with the ATF directly. That means an agent will actually go to the FFL and conduct an inspection. So that's going to happen a lot more frequently if this bill passes. And so, you have the ATF breathing down the backs of these FFLs. So more scrutiny on the employees, more scrutiny from the ATF directly to the FFL. And then again, a bunch of other regulations, including that stuff that we talked about before, which would directly affect you. So 6225, while it does seem, even from the title, to just be, rules and regulations for an FFL, there are rules and regulations and laws that would be created by this bill that would affect the FFL's ability to do business, the employees, and the consumer. So the consumer would also be affected. That would be you. That's another thing this bill's going after. So it's like thinly veiled, right? It's a way to go after you, but kind of through the FFL. Anyway, I wanted to let you guys know that bill again was introduced on December 9th of 2021, and we'll see what happens to it, and we'll try and, stay on top of it. So I want to thank you all very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Please like, subscribe. You guys have a great day.